My name is AJ, also known as Professor Bulk Online, and today we're going to be talking about a post that Darrington Press put out on Reddit. They had a whole AMA last Thursday, so we're going to be discussing that today.
Welcome to Blade-Bound Saga.
All right, so yeah, today's video, once again, also I'm here, otherwise known as RiceKombo, the other part of Blade-Bound Saga. But yeah, before we kind of jump into the AMA today and kind of like looking through what Darrington Press basically like answered for the questions that were on the Reddit, we do have a couple announcements. First announcement is Blade-Bound Saga will be at Gen Con. I myself will be running games of Daggerheart with Darrington Press and Envoy on Thursday and Friday. So if you want to jump in on those games, join our Discord and check out those event link titles if you're going to be at Gen Con. And AJ is going to be there as a regular attendee.
Yeah, I'll be there. So if you want to hang out, say hi. I'll be there. Be there just chilling.
And then other than that, Daggerheart releases next week officially. And so let's get super hype. If you're looking for jumping in on a game of Daggerheart, we are running learn to plays and even some campaigns throughout the summer and part of the Start Playing Games launch party. So if you're interested in that, that will also be linked down below in the description. So with that, let's jump into this AMA. There's a lot on it. A lot of questions were asked about Daggerheart. And so let's just see exactly what's going on. I think we both have read the very first initial post. You read a little bit ahead of me. I kind of wanted to go in a little blind. So kind of got two perspectives. But this AMA started on last Thursday, which would be May 5th or May 8th. And then they did it basically from 3 to 4. The Darrington Press team, the specific individuals are going to be Spencer Stark, a lead game designer, Rowan Hall, additional game designer, Elise Resendez. Man, that's how you say that, right? Resendez? That sounds right.
Resendez, yeah.
And then senior RPG producer, and then Madigan Hunt, junior games producer on the game, and now a full-time game producer with Darrington Press. Awesome. I think Madigan just got a promotion, so that's great. I've been seeing her on the Darrington Press live videos that they show every so often. So they're just going to ask a bunch of questions. It looks like I would hope that they're going to answer this first question here that they proposed to us on whether we'd rather fight a single level 10 ribbit or 100 level 1 humans.
Definitely 100 level 1 humans.
See, they didn't include class, so that I feel like adds a lot to it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. In Daggerheart, there's not as many. Like the turn initiative doesn't matter nearly as much. So yeah, I think I'd go with the level. I think I'd rather fight the 100 humans too.
I'm not fighting some level 10 fully kitted out. Didn't even matter. It didn't matter what class. I can punch a human. You think I'm going to punch a ribbit?
That's also fair.
Who knows what abilities? Yeah, no.
What abilities? This little dude's gonna mess us up.
I'm scared. I'm scared of that dude.
Anyways, all right, let's see what the first question was. Is there a planned continuation of the game? Due to its management, I really want to move away from D&D. Same. I love Daggerheart, so I want to be sure this hobby will be supported for many years to come, as opposing to this starting a new project or dropping this one once it successfully launches or after a year. You want to read this answer from Elise?
Yeah. Elise basically goes on and says so much. There's a lot we can't talk about yet, but the runway ahead is long for us, and we're excited to share everything we've been working on. Specifically, that we're thrilled to announce that that they're launching on May 20th. So they'll be launching with the devs of Critical Role and Founder. You know, obviously later on they're going to try to announce things as they release. This is good news because it sounds like they have already a ton of plans to keep servicing the game.
Yeah. And I think in another post, not on this one, but Spencer addressed one individual, and I posted a rant last week about how I think Daggerheart is going to be extremely successful. Spencer literally said that the launch is going to be basically the start of Daggerheart, not the end of Daggerheart. We've been waiting for a while, but the launch day is really only the beginning for what Daggerheart is and could be. We're also going to be live streaming on the 20th. So if you're interested in seeing the book being opened, likely a little ahead of when the live stream goes live for Critical Role and the Darrington devs, make sure to check us out. We'll have an event in the Discord for that. I don't think we need to read through everyone else's added
no.
comments. Let's just find the next question, which can be easily done by just clicking, so we can tab that out.
Yeah. The Rethinker on Reddit. And I really like to know what is planned for this universe in general, like dice sets, expansions, and collaboration.
Darcy Ross, adding on another individual. Darcy's been great. Meeting her at PAX was fun, but then also just interacting with her on Discord has also been great. But she said, we have lots planned and even more dreamed of for Daggerheart. We announced a partnership with StartPlaying in Roll20 to equip 150 GMs of the final version of Daggerheart, as well as an early
He
release.
was one of them.
I am one of them. As well as early access to Daggerheart Demi-Play Nexus. So tons of Daggerheart games, and you can even get a $10 off referral link if you're new to Kickstart. I also have a referral link that also gives me a little bit of a kickback as well, if you're interested in that. But yeah, so a lot of stuff planned in terms of collaboration, it looks like. And then obviously we know Matt's also going to be running Age of Umbra the second week after Daggerheart releases. So I'm interested to see how that all goes about. All right, next question. This question gets asked a lot, and I don't think we necessarily need to read it, but this question basically just says, what is the size requirements on the cards? Because everyone needs to sleeve their cards. I have every kind of sleeve. White, green, let me see. I even got hot pink sleeves. Hot pink, and obviously clear. This is probably what I'll end up sleeving my Daggerheart cards in. But I'm so glad that they are going by the standard requirements. Looks like the measurements are standard 63.5, 88.9. Nothing crazy there, but cool. We have
It
measurements.
should fit. It should work. You need measurements. Look at that post.
Yeah. Go away, promotion. All right.
Are there any ancestries that you have thought about, or have planned? Avian lover here would want a bird type so bad. Similar question to community cards. Would you consider collaborating with the community on any of the above?
Answer from all four. Spencer says, so many. Great. More to come. No leaks. Elise, there's a draft. The draft pile is tall. Great. Sam Mags. Every day since I started over here, I have campaigned for a dog boy to go with our cat boys. I love the idea of bird boys. Daggerheart is for furries / it taken
Question marks.
And then Matt again. I come to the office frequently with insane requests. Wonderful. And I
Means
actually think
developers are they're being creative, innovative, and it sounds like they care. So this is all good signs.
yeah, which I'm interested to see how the balance, because I know there's gonna be a lot of homebrew on it. And the one thing I love about homebrew is homebrew expands the game. The one thing I hate about homebrew is sometimes there is bad homebrew that doesn't make sense, poorly worded, or just blatantly overpowered beyond belief. So homebrew is always a touchy subject for me, even though I homebrew all the time. But that's beside the point. So Ribbit, if Ribbit is Padman Pond Hop, easiest bet in my life. Question: I adore new mechanics in Daggerheart, but I don't understand the group check roll where other players give a +1, -1. It usually results in little impact. Can you tell me a bit as to why it works like it does, and how can I use it better?
Yeah. So they talk about, you mean the acclaimed collectible card designer, the Padman Pond Hop? Violence is the answer. He's a character in the Wild Mount Wildling. It's by Critical Role. What do they answer the question though about
I don't think they answered the question. Hold on, let's see.
No,
Not
it's
any violence
I don't
is
think
the
they answered the
answer.
question.
I don't think they answered that part of the question. They just agreed with the first part of the
Someone
question.
kind of goes down here to answer it though. This OK Barracuda.
What is? Yeah, let's read through this one.
Yeah, they said they hope they answer it in depth, but +1 in Daggerheart can mean a lot, and that's very true. They're talking about the group checks to where you have one person helmet and everyone else makes a check, and whether they success, the person helming it gets a +1. If they fail, they get a -1. It's just put a system to what a lot of DMs are already doing in D&D about group checks. So
I think I can answer this personally. So a lot of times, often, especially in tabletop systems like a D&D or a Pathfinder, you'll ask the group to make a stealth check. While that's helpful, it doesn't Daggerheart, what that would cause is resource imbalance. If you have everyone make a stealth check and everyone rolls with fear, the GM has just gotten extremely buffed for the next encounter. On the flip side, if everyone rolls with hope, then every single person gets a bump in power for what could be a single check for one person generating the hope, while everyone else in a reaction roll does not generate the hope. So this is, I think, a resource management, and this is coming from 100+ games of Daggerheart. I initially was hesitant against it, but then as I asked, like if I asked the group to all make persuasion checks, I could just hyper pool, and now I can spend all the fear in a diplomatic situation and just basically make it impossible for players. I don't think that would make for good story, so it goes against the heart of Daggerheart, but I think it does go towards the balance of the resource. So that's my answer, because I don't think they answered it necessarily
I
here.
don't know if they answer this one. Yeah.
Okay, go away promotion. They're going live. That's all. This one. That's
Hey,
one.
they went
Great,
live.
thanks.
Good
What's
job.
happening on the day? Okay. Do you have any favorite Daggerheart content people so far? I'm interested to see what this answer is.
Yeah. Spencer calls out Dodoborn, which if you haven't listened to Dodoborn, go listen to Dodoborn.
It's so
They're
funny.
great. They're so funny. They're
and
great.
weekly content now too.
Yeah. Sam Maggs says we really love and want to be able to continue to support folks making their own actual play at Daggerheart content online. Man, I think I know a group that just did that,
I
right?
think I know a group who's
think I
doing
know a
that
group.
right now.
right now. They said they had a blast working with the roleplay relay team on a 6-episode Daggerheart series for charity. After seeing what some of
Just
the
hype.
wonderful earlier sessions they posted online, if you're playing Daggerheart, always let us know. We want to bring attention to many players as we can. So, yeah, keep that in mind. If you guys are starting your own plays, hit them up.
Yeah, I'm going to shout out the next answer from Elise with Sean Ellis, the concept artist. Sean, I know, is freelance for the most part, but has been working with Darrington Press for a while. I absolutely love his art style, especially because you see his art style projected through almost every single adversary. And if you watch the Beast Feast live show back in December, he drew all the food and the creatures that they fought at the live show in that hour session, which once again, to be able to create that art in as quick of a time is honestly just wild. For anybody, maybe I'll throw up a couple here's something over here, images of like some of the stuff that he has, because this stuff is just sick, especially the demons.
Yeah.
And then
Sean Ellis got some great stuff. Madagon, he talks about how seeing people's experiences and what they come up with has been his favorite part, which is also fair and same. Some people's experiences are just so off the wall, and
I mean, is the one she refers
to. Yeah, when are you going to use that? But I'm sure it got used, and it was freaking awesome when it happened.
I feel like either is one of those that's so nichely used or so broadly used. Like, I'm a monkey. I scream as I do this.
Okay.
Cool. Great.
Yeah, add it.
Let's take a look at a lot of questions here. Any plans for official subclasses or new official subclasses? I know that currently Daggerheart is only launching with 2 subclasses per. So Spencer mentioned in an interview in the late 2003 that the final release would have a total of 20 would have 27 total adversaries, which is 9 more, or ancestries, sorry, which is 9 more than what we've seen in the playtest. To my knowledge, is that still the case? Are you going to do that with communities as well? A lot of stuff. Missed out on limited edition mostly because I wanted to support my FLGS by buying the book from them as soon as it hits the shelves. Will any materials included in the set be sold separately, specifically the GM screen I am currently drooling over?
You know what? Good for you for supporting your local game store.
100%. Will likely end up buying an additional copy.
Yeah, I didn't order one, so that's what I'm gonna do. Probably on the 20th is go try to buy one. But anyway, Spencer talks and says, I can speak on the 27 ancestries question. That was actually a number of ancestries I had made for OG Daggerheart long ago. It was too many cards for the core set, so we streamlined it down to make things less intimidating at character creation. The ancestries and communities in the open beta are what you will see in the game.
Yeah, which I think we confirmed that for the most part, and it makes a whole lot of sense. And then the limited edition. Go ahead.
I was saying, limited edition is a one-time item that they won't be reprinting, but the future is ours when it comes to creating additional accessories that uplift the game experience at your table more delightful.
Yeah,
we've heard many folks ask for dreams, and stay tuned for more soon. So yeah, if you didn't get your limited edition, it's okay. There's going to be more stuff down the road.
Yeah, which I will say, the one thing that when it comes to any game, if you want the game to have more things, support the game.
Yeah, 100%.
And by I mean support the game. I don't mean just playing the game. Yes, play the game, but also support monetarily. And obviously, economy, don't go outside of your budgets, don't go into debt just to play tabletop RPGs. Even though it's really easy to, especially with dice. But just support the game, and you'll get what you want eventually. So that's all I'll say about that. Let's keep going. What is the absolutely most broken combo you saw during playtesting? I have my opinion. That's so I'm interested. Like combinations of domains that you saw and win. That's just wrong. Danny answered. I'm curious if anybody else answered. Just Danny. There's a Glassgate Wizard build tested by a friend of ours, and he was rolling an actual handful of d20s. He did 255 points of damage on a land shark. Usually, in terms of adapting things, it just means a slight adjustment in wording to keep things from getting too overpowered. I can see that because you can literally bump your proficiency as high as you can. And with something like, there's like a blood staff that every time you make an attack roll, you deal a damage to yourself, but it does a d20 of damage. And then as long as you can stack your proficiency as high as you can, that's totally doable. In my opinion, there's two broken things. Can you guess what these two broken things, or one of the two broken things are?
I think one of them is, I think it's what this guy talks about here. Pre-nerf Guardian, dude. Pre-nerf Guardian was insane. Hey, you hit me, you take damage. Just take a health point. Can't do anything about it. Just take it. And that was just, yeah. I may have used that against you at one point
Yes,
in
you
time.
definitely have. Which was not fun, and it really made me not want to attack you, but you made it very difficult for me not to because you were always so close. I will say it's still there, but it's on a kind of a randomness system. You have to roll high on a d6 to be able to deal that damage back. The other one that I was going to talk about was deft maneuvers, which basically made it where you don't give your action tokens to the GM. And this was pre game when action tokens were a core mechanic of the game. Now with the removal of action tokens, obviously this isn't as broken as it was, but you could basically make it if you had enough rangers or just any rangers or warriors with the bone domain, you could just take your actions and never give your GM an action token to take a turn, which was used against me for sure in a very broken build. But yeah, anyways, let's see. This question wasn't answered. As a person who, without even testing the game, but have full support in the deluxe edition of the game, will we see more content after released? This one's already been answered.
Yeah. Yes, you will.
Yes. What is your favorite little thing about the book? Maybe small artwork, funny line, or cool item, and why is it Ribbit? Why is it Ribbit? Yeah.
Gosh, so many. Page 86 of the book, Bold Presence by Bear Meyer. I think that's the artist, I would assume, right?
Ooh, yeah, that's probably like the artwork. I'm curious to see what that'll look like then.
So this is some artwork about the jump, and the bear killed it. I don't know. I don't know what the artwork is.
We
So
don't know what the art is.
Yeah, I don't know what it looks like, so I don't know.
But when we get the book, we'll flip over to it.
Yeah. I will. So I will say this. I was watching a video today, and there was one more thing that is not mentioned in this one. On page 69 of the book is where they introduce the Fibbit, and they talk about how the tongue is a finesse weapon. Do with that what you will.
Hold on. First off, wait.
It's an interview with Spencer and Bob Worldbuilder.
Of the actual book?
I think so. I don't know if it was I'm not sure if it's the beta test book or the one that's released, but it's an interview with Bob Worldbuilder, and they talk about basically the same question. He said, well, on page 69 is when the Fibbit is there, and then they go into length and talk about how the tongue is a weapon that you can use, and it's a finesse weapon. So
on page 69?
On page 69. I said, I don't know how true it is. That's just, I was just watching a video. It just happened to be scrolling through, and I heard that.
It's so great. I need to now look at the book and see if that actually came to fruition. Let's keep going. The art on page 181, Jenny Tan is a subtle homage to two Critical Role characters. Interested to see which two.
Ooh, yeah.
My guess is it's a duo, a love interest of some sort. Spencer, art at the top right corner of 187 are the characters from the first party I ever ran through a level 1 through 10 campaign of Daggerheart.
Cool.
I'm interested to see what that is. I need to note these so I can go back on the book and check.
Yeah.
Danny says there's a bunch of them. One of them is a consumable item, Mirror of Marigold, a little homage to Spencer. A little homage Spencer made to my second playtest character, who is named Marigold. I think that's always cool when they like throw in like the internal playtest like material stuff that they had. And then Elise, we designed a color coordinated chapter tab to bleed over the pages in the final die cutting. So when the book is viewed from its side, there's a visual tab reference. That is
Oh,
so helpful. That's so helpful. I'm uploading that. Dang. Okay. As a GM, that is incredibly helpful to just be able to look, and that's awesome. Let's go with the next one. I'm wondering if it would be possible to run a more urban fantasy type game set in a modern era. I could even say yes before that even we ever get there, as I've done a sci-fi thing in the playtest. But yeah, 6 campaign frames in the core book. So if you want to run the game in an urban setting, one of those campaign frames can definitely be kit bashed for sure.
and any of the frames that are there can always be reflavored to what you would like as a party. That's a great thing about Daggerheart. It's not stuck to high fantasy like we're used to in D&D. Do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, as you've
You're
said.
gonna play cowboys, be cowboys. Want to go play cyberpunk and TTRPG? Well, they have their own, but in Daggerheart, do it.
Yeah,
It's
as
all
you
flexible.
stated, flavor is free.
Yes, $3.99. Can we get some oozes or more plant creature ancestries? Yeah, ancestries. There's a red ooze adversary. We like to call him the flaming hot salsa, and his tiny companion is baby salsa.
That's great. It's just
That
great
is
stuff.
great. And now there's going to be a green ooze called guacamole. So he didn't answer if it's going to be a playable ancestry, but there are some adversaries. If you like the ooze, you can throw them at your players.
I'm so excited to see what the next book is, though, for Ancestries. I think that'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Crit Hit Giant, another content creator. If you were to make an owlbear monster, or playable species, how would you do that? Not asking for a friend. This is for me. Rowan, a monster is playable. Any monster is playable if you try hard enough. Madigan, what Rowan said. Spencer, we have a whole section in the book to help around this. We collaborated with or
Yep.
user
Right
Knight
night to fight.
to fight on this based on their amazing Reddit or work on Reddit during the open beta. That's awesome. We hired them to help us make a build your own adversary guidance in the book. That's so great. That's awesome, actually.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
As a GM, I'd like to know how quickly a newbie could make a character for a one shot. How long does it take to teach the game? And is there any guidance in the rule book for how to teach it? Rowan says, it'd always be different from each table, but we usually plan for about 2 hours to onboard and build characters together before jumping into a session. GM tools were a huge priority for the team throughout the making of the core rulebook. So in the GM section, there's guidance for both the mechanics and the narrative aspects of gameplay. We also have a ton of supplementary sheets to help at the table, the characterization sheet, play guide, GM guide, and the sidecar. On the other side of that, it only takes about 10 to 15 minutes to build a level 1 character once you're familiar with the process.
It's so easy to build a character.
Yeah, it really is. Now, if it's your very first character and you're coming from D&D or something else, or just never played TTRPGs, it's always going to be a little bit daunting. But I mean, I'd say probably at least 20 characters at this point,
At least.
and I could probably make a character in 10 minutes easily. Full-fledged backstory experiences. I think I
Well,
made
we're gonna be making characters in 1 minute next week when the game
We are.
launches. So
Yeah, 100%. So there you go. If you need help making a character, check out our videos next week.
yeah, we're gonna be making a bunch of characters based on the characters that we see in the Daggerheart book.
Mhm.
Okay, this question. The team behind the Daggerheart Brazilian release said that they had the original documents and are already working on translation. That's cool. I don't know how.
That's
That's
really cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
How does it work with your connection to? I'm not gonna try to pronounce that.
Yeah.
Jumbo Editoria, sorry, something like that. How much freedom? Blah blah blah. They're asking a lot of stuff. We love working with our licensed partners in translations. They're gonna work hard. That's what I got.
Yeah.
So
They
I'm
are working on translating it into your language. So be patient.
yeah.
I think is what we can say.
All right, next one. I'm sure this has been asked before, but will buying extra sets of cards be possible? That's a possibility. Looks like you can. That's what it says.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity to ask questions. Really excited to get my book and start a new campaign with our group. What are changes from the last beta that you are really excited about? Or are the changes just small adjustments? If there are bigger changes, what were your reasons for these decisions? And the last question is, what is the last change or correction you made in the book before it went out to printing? Rowan, we're super enthusiastic about the changes to armor. When Spencer finally cracked out, we were over the moon. The current armor mechanics feels like the system the game always wanted to be. So that was a huge day for the team. There are lots of other small adjustments that folks will see across the game as well. The final edit that was made before the game went out to the printers was formatting on the GM screen, among tiny tweaks. Often the last edits are about how the layouts are. Spencer goes on to say there's a buckwild sentence that the Madagon and Danny caught in the Colossus of the Drylands as we were doing reviews reminded us of this video.
Okay, I guess we need to watch this video then.
Oh, it's a classic. I don't know if they can hear it.
Yeah, I don't think we could hear it because I'm pretty sure this is muted. But
that's one of those ones that you can hear. You can hear that.
Yeah.
You can hear that picture.
Anyways, not answered. We're just gonna go through the ones that are answered. See, Crit Hit Giant, other once again content creator.
Yeah,
Can you give us any insight of the level of support Darrington Press will give to the community regarding creators? Will they be regularly highlighted? This is something I'm interested in. But basically, it said we'll talk about this more post launch. We're working on a lot, especially because the community has been so vital during open beta. We want to make sure that we keep investing in our incredible relationship between developers and creators, which is great. Excited, especially for us.
Yeah, especially for us. Yeah.
Long one.
For those who
read the answer for you and then summarize.
For those who were told our order was delayed, are there any updates? Hopefully, good news that the team can give us at least any explanation on why these delays happened. Also, a different question: if y'all can't say anything on that, in the beta, I really enjoyed things like group roles and tag team roles. Are those still in the final version? Have there been any changes or new mechanics in the terms of the players getting to work together? Good question.
Yeah.
The second part's a really good question.
Yeah, I mean, for the first part, I mean, Elise basically says that climate change and delays are kind of just something that you kind of have to fight against in terms of logistics. But they're great that the community is like backing up with it. Spencer, on the delay front, the world's just really difficult right now. We know what's happening with international trade right now, and that's just rough. And so we just have to deal with it. But they are doing their best, which I'm glad that they are. They're not just kind of like dragging, and they're not just jacking up prices at the tail end. And their own says, "Great, I'm glad that you like group and tag team roles. I do too." And then confirms that they are definitely in the final game. All right. Same thing. Delve with Hope. Oh, if you haven't seen Delve with Hope's blog podcast about Daggerheart, definitely check him out. Love their stuff. Were you able to play a good amount of Daggerheart while in development? I hope so.
Yeah.
Was there any tension between your own quirks and personality preference in the system versus what you think the community would want? Thanks for all the work.
Elise talks about so much of the DNA of Daggerheart was forged between what they played at the dev table. So I would assume so, and what the community gave them as feedback. So if you gave feedback, community, you made this game possible.
We made this game, everyone.
We made this game possible.
Daggerheart did, but we helped.
Yeah, we helped.
Rowan says the same thing. I'm pretty sure Spencer says the same thing.
Yeah, they kind of all say the same thing. Yeah, they played.
Madigan says not enough.
All these people are diehard TTRPGers. Also, they're players as much as developers. So they played the game, and then they're the goats.
Man, these questions are so long. I think we go with what, 5 more and call it?
Yeah, well, we'll see. Yeah.
All right. What are some internal one-shot stories used for? What are some internally run one-shot stories you used for testing? Did any of them make it to documentation?
Okay, so Elise talks about the action tracker that came from playtesting. Especially the rest of the Hope Fury economy was balanced out close to 1.5. Yeah, I remember that. Playtests were all set around sunk and then balanced combat. It was a wild moment to live what felt forever. I feel like, I don't know. Did I answer the question? Well, she answered.
I think they're just talking about their fun stories.
Yeah. Spencer says I'm sorry, go ahead.
Madigan just talks about how she can't say a bunch of stuff because there's probably some leaking if they talk too much, but they just wanted us to know that they were on the feet yelling in joy at the dice tray. I have definitely been there.
Yeah.
Spencer says his first entire campaign. Oh, and it's an example in the GM section. And Danny says, I was part of that.
Rowan goes to say, playtesting the Colossus of the Drylands was an absolute blast. Getting the Colossus mechanics on the feet was exactly what we all needed for the time. Yeah. That's probably what I'm most excited for too, is the Colossus of the Drylands. Definitely excited to try that module or that
The pitch
For
is
sure.
Shadow of the Colossus meets post-apocalyptic Western cowboys.
I mean, yes.
I'm so excited for that
So
one.
excited.
Cool. This next one I started reading. Can we get a teaser for the new armor system? Guess what? We don't need a teaser. We already know how it basically works. Rowan says the final version is basically what they asked for. So rather than having to do the armor mechanics in terms of subtracting armor, you're just bringing it down an armor slot. And then also your armor is what will inform your armor score and damage thresholds. So there's not a whole lot more math, especially at higher levels, which I think is the best part about that, the
Yeah.
higher level side of things.
It streamlined it a little bit for sure. Where the gnomes at, and they're cooking. So
Gnomes are cooking.
they're cooking. So
They're coming. They're on the way.
working
We'll see what
on
happens.
for ancestries. We'll see.
Hey, look, that's me. I asked that
That's
question.
you.
For those who
That's
don't
us.
know,
That's you.
I'm a sponsor and moderator for my school's Dungeons and Dragons club. Does Darrington Press have school club programs for schools to be able to get Daggerheart materials for school or library clubs? Lisa answered this. We're excited to get Daggerheart in as many hands as possible and currently working on several as yet unannounced school and library partnerships. If your local organization is interested in working with us, please have them reach out to info@darringtonpress.com, which I definitely will as a teacher.
In the recently revealed Ranger preview, why does Beastbound subclass have two options for their specialization and mastery features, and the Wayfinder only has one for each? Also, how does the specialization mastery features work? Do you get them at a certain level, or do you have to choose one if there's more than one feature? Good question. You go on to say, that's such a good question. Some classes have multiple features while others only have one per card. We try to balance it out by looking at the power of each feature, its use cases, etc. So some classes with cards have a wider spread design and others have a more vertical in their build. You gain access to upgrade subclasses at the subclass card at tier 3 and then again at tier 4. If you multi-class, you need to cross out the option to take the upgraded subclass at that tier. So there's another opportunity to either expand the character's power horizontally or vertically. So
Balance.
Yeah, I mean, that balance. It's just a balance issue.
Yeah. Looks like he has another question about the revealed Ranger preview. This might be up to the GM discretion or rules as written or rules.
Rule of cool.
Rule of cool. Goodness.
I think, yeah.
But the Ranger's Hope feature says 3 separate targets. Could those 2 additional targets be on the same target? Rules and intended would be that way. If they are within range, you could hit additional targets besides the one whom you aimed at first. Hold up. Whoa. You can
you can
take
just
the
send-
Ranger's Hope. Okay, no, I read that wrong. They do have to be separate targets, right? Hold on, am I reading this right?
I don't know.
This might be up to the but the Ranger's Hope feature, does it have to be 3 separate targets, or could the additional targets be on the same target? Rules as intended, it would be that if they are within range, you could hit additional targets besides the one whom you aimed at with the first attack.
I think they're saying it has to be separate targets.
I think they are saying it has to be separate
I think
targets.
that's what it's saying. Kind of weird. It's like
I think
it's all
might be
weird wording. Sorry,
a little weird wording. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens. But I'm definitely
Yeah.
ruling that at my table, so I feel like that's rules as intended. So
in this first book, will we find more domain cards and ancestries than in the beta? I don't know if this has been answered already.
yeah, we basically have answered this.
It has been.
No, it's the
there are
same.
gonna be changes to them, but they're gonna be the same.
Yeah. Okay. What is your general design philosophy? I think we've gone over 5, so this is probably the last one. What
Yeah.
is your general design philosophy when creating subclasses and domain cards? Were there any do's and don'ts? Rowan, one of the design details we talked about is a lot about the players is how they choose their design. They want it to be primarily 2. So it's important at higher level that. So it's very important that no higher level card features rely on a player having taken another specific card at an early level. That makes sense, and that's honestly
That makes
probably
sense.
really hard.
Yeah.
From a
So because
development
you're not
standpoint.
that way, it's not like a build. It's or like you have to pick this and this and this to make a good build. It's like every card should be clickable at any point in time.
Yep. Spencer, subclass design is a lot about identifying what different fantasies there are of the class, and I think this is also the hardest part. Is you have 2 for launch, and I'm sure they're cooking for a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But one is obviously the Nightwalker that sneaks through the shadows, or you can be a wheeler and dealer who knows or people everywhere, like the Syndicate, which it's personally my favorite subclass. Danny says not a designer, but observation for vibes. Begins with vibes and then tweaking and squishing mechanics until everything just feels right. which I think is a really good like way to develop as well. You do have to make sure that the game does feel well, even though is imbalance in games does not mean more fun, or balance in games does not mean more fun. So, and then again, one of the things Spencer said that always stuck with me: if it's not fun for us to play during playtests, then it's not right. Makes sense. I do want to read this last one.
Yeah, I'm about to say we can't leave on this one. What can you tell us about the giant capybaras? Rowan, unfortunately, nothing. They're mysterious and important. One of them is named Finn. Finn the capybara. He's there. They really love snuggles. For those who want to see them, they're on the Wanderborn card on page 80 of the book. Artist Paul Scott Canavan. What?
Canavan.
Okay, Canavan. Paul Scott drew them, and I had 0 notes. Haha. You tell us. We can't wait to see what kind of stories you create using the art in the books as a jumping off point. Yeah. So
did you know about the giant capybaras? Because I
did not know about the giant capybaras, but it sounds like there needs to be a whole campaign dedicated to them now.
Sounds like I need to do a one-shot of just the giant capybaras as the adversary. We'll see what happens here.
Or the heroes. Maybe they're gods. Make your own stories with the giant capybaras, everyone. That's the great thing about Daggerheart. You can do what you want.
I think then we'll end there. On the note on giant capybaras, we'll basically link the rest of this because we only got about halfway, and that's only to mention if there isn't like a second page or more loading on our screen. We'll link it here so that way you can read it for yourself, but hopefully this gives you a little bit more of a glimpse of what Daggerheart is with the hype. We're going to sign off and continue reading through this. But other than that,
guys, thank you for joining us for this episode where we talked about this AMA, and we're excited to see you in the future.
Don't forget to like, comment, and
don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Yeah.
This is the worst outro we've ever done.
Yeah, that was terrible. Should we just redo the whole thing again?
Just bye, everyone. No, we're keeping this in here. We're just bye, everyone.
Oh, great. See ya.
From ink and steel, stories are forged. We are Blade-bound Saga.